Hey everyone, welcome to verifiedinvesting.com. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. In today's video, we're going to look at Tesla. Tesla has been ripping higher today and yesterday. Where is the likely upside target? Where is it going to run into resistance? How high could it go as this thing again looks primed to continue its move? So let's dive into the chart and see what the charts are telling us. Here's your daily chart of Tesla, and we can very clearly see this was yesterday on Thursday, September 11th, the stock rising beautifully, and then today again. And if you look at this from Wednesday's close, Tesla has now rallied 13.3% based on its current price at around $394. Now, the beauty of this is when we look at this chart, and if you go back on this exact YouTube, I went over charts analysis on Tesla a couple weeks ago that was talking about how bullish it looked and how you wanted to stay long on this. Now, the question is, how high can it go before it runs into resistance? All right. So the first things first, let's start putting in some trend lines here. Trend lines are our friends. We want to look and follow these. This is your baseline. And again, when we were trading above it, I said, listen, as long as it stays above this line, you can remain bullish and look for further upside. And that's exactly what we see. Now, if we take this trend line and put it in right here, this was really your kicker, right? And what I mean by that is this was a classic wedge pattern. And again, when you have a move from the lows of the chart up, when the wedge pattern forms, that's generally what we would refer to as a bullish wedge. Why? Well, because it's essentially a type of bull flag, right? So you have your up move here. This is your flagpole. Okay, flagpole vertical, and then you have inside bar consolidation like so, right? And that's, again, consolidating in the upper range of the move, which forms a textbook bull flag. All right, so again, we had that. Now look at what happened here, and this is what happens on almost all charts. It's one of my favorite trade setups, and it's called the retrace to the scene of the crime. So when you see a wedge pattern, again, in general, you favor the upside, but by the time it breaks out, you don't want to chase it because at this point, you know, if you saw it down here, Tesla was trading at like 305. By the time you see a close above, it's at 330. I mean, that's a $25, almost 10% move up over the course of a few days. It continued up another day, and then we saw a retrace to the scene of the crime. What's a retrace to the scene of the crime? It's where you get a breakout, and then you come back to check out that former trend line that was a resistance line, resistance, 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 and then breakout, and now it becomes support. Remember, former resistance, once it's broken above, becomes technical support. And this is actually your buy on Tesla, which would have gotten you in around 319, better than when it broke out above that level. Now, look at what happened. Again, it didn't go straight up, but it started to chop. And the key was, as long as it stays above this area here, then you continue with that bullish bias. It's still a breakout. And look at the move up on Tesla. Just a beautiful thing in the last couple days. Now, looking at this, there's another thing that was telling us that the chart pattern was bullish. Let's erase those two trend lines and draw it in. Can anyone tell me what this pattern is right here? Okay, what is that? And again, if you're brand new to technical analysis, I don't expect you to know, but I hope you'll learn. And if you are, familiar with technical analysis, what do we call that? We call that a cup and handle pattern. Essentially, it's a rounded bottom, which is the cup, and a bullish consolidation off of that, or a cup and handle pattern. And obviously, what are we seeing here? We are seeing a breakout based on that bullish pattern setup. Now, the question is, where or how high does Tesla go? I have it priced out that, listen, it's not going to go straight there. It's probably going to have a few pullbacks, but my general target is this pivot top around $430. Now, why? Well, number one, you can see you had this big peak here, and then this was your secondary peak that led into your big collapse down. And so what we know is that when you have these big drops, when you get back to that level, in general, that point is going to have a lot of sellers that were buying in there. They've finally been made whole after getting crushed on the drop. They're going to want to basically take a flat out on that trade, right? It's come all the way back. They were panicking when it was down here. Now it's come back to that level. Okay, they're calling it a day. And by the way, you just go up a little bit more than what you're up today on Tesla, and you're right there. I mean, it would not be outlandish to see this hit next week. Now, my guess is you'll have a small pullback or pause day in the mix there, but nonetheless, I think it could get there next week potentially. Now, the other thing that has me intrigued as a resistance level is that if we take the high here, again, the December 18th kind of major pivot high, it's basically your all-time high on Tesla, and we drag it down to these lows here, what do we know that that coexists with? It coexists with your 786 Fibonacci retrace. And one of the lessons that I've learned in technical analysis, folks, is that when you get multiple factors that align at the same price, that generally increases the probability that that's going to be a major level. And in this case, it would be major resistance. The pivot high is right with the 786 Fibonacci. Therefore, you can assume there is some good resistance there. All right. So again, things like that you want to pay attention to. Lastly, I think I would just mention here as well that, again, if we look at the charts here, and again, you can kind of make a case for it, but you can look for past trend lines going back a little bit further. Like what's interesting here is this high is pretty close to this former 2021 high, which is at 415. So you know you're getting into some resistance once you get up into that range. And again, for me, if we went up there Monday or Tuesday, after these 2 days, Thursday, Friday rally, I would actually start to think about shorting Tesla only for a quick move. Listen, I'm not saying it's not going to get back to the all-time highs eventually, but again, I'm a swing trader, right? So I'm a shorter term investor and trader. And the chart here, if we went straight up within the next couple days into that level, you would expect some sort of retrace for a quick gain off of that level. But again, folks, this is what I love to do. Diagnostic, analyze charts, show you tick for tick, trend line for trend line, level for level, what I'm seeing in the charts. And the idea is that not only do you get alpha from these, meaning that, okay, Tesla, again, look at the breakout, here's your upside target, etc., maybe where a short can be enabled if you're a shorter term trader like me, but also really walking you through all the nuances in the chart that I'm seeing. Because the idea is if I can show you, you can hopefully slowly start to learn this stuff. And it's so empowering because all of a sudden you ignore the hype. You go on social media, everyone's saying, this is going to 1 million or this is going to 0. There's like extremes of everything. And we all know this, right? I mean, social media it's run by emotion. And by the way, the bots on there, which there's millions and millions of bots, you don't even know. You might think someone's not a bot or whatever, but it probably is a bot. They are there to exploit you. Like literally hedge funds and these big institutions, they create bots that are run on algorithms that will do things to make you do something like buying something at the highs so that they get exit liquidity. I mean, it's really wild. It's wild stuff. But the idea is that by watching the charts, that's your one way to avoid that type of thing. All right, guys. Again, on that note, I don't know why I'm freezing up here, but nonetheless, I wanted to wrap it up. You guys have a great one as always. Thank you so much. Take care.